name is Christian, and I will be discussing the affirmative on MSA being restricted from its access to private sovereign debt. In support to what Zachary has already said, I'd like to focus on how this diminishes civil liberties. Some of the ways in which it does that are it partially repeals legislation, which is a barrier to implementing the plan, and it is not needed to protect because it's not serving its purpose. Instead, it's used to self-serve. Also, I would like to talk about how it's supposed to protect us at the expense of our Fourth Amendment, in support to what Zachary has said, and that metadata has no advantage and is unnecessary. First, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, who wrote an analysis of the Patriot Act on their website, they stated that foreign and domestic intelligence agencies can more easily spy on Americans. Powers under the existing Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which is FISA, have been broadened to allow for increased surveillance opportunities. The standards are lower than the constitutional standard applied by the courts in regular investigations. The Act partially repeals the legislation enacted in 1970s that prohibited pervasive surveillance of Americans for this reason. In terms of it not being needed to protect, the Patriot Act was passed, according to ACU, in haste, and included ideas previously shelved by the Congress, which were shelved for many reasons I will later expand on, like expanded civil fortitude, which means that the government can take and sell your property without ever convicting and charging you with a crime, and roving wiretaps. Ideas that law enforcement wanted but could never get. When creating sound anti-terrorism legislation, the line should not be drawn in what is helpful for law enforcement, but what is needed to protect us while preserving the proper balance between preserving civil liberties and our nation's national security needs. Which leads us to my next point. Because it is supposed to protect us, it is attempting to do so, but at the expense of our Fourth Amendment. According to Bob Barr, who's a former U.S. congressman, he stated that many of the Patriot Act's provisions are non-controversial and have had a positive impact on the government's ability to police, but not to fight acts of terrorism. However, there are also provisions that raise serious questions of constitutionality. If we are to take the position reflected in the provisions in the U.S. Patriot Act, the government can invade our privacy and gather evidence that can be used against us based on no suspicion whatsoever that we've done anything wrong, but simply because the government wants to gather evidence as some generalized anti-terrorism investigation. Because metadata has no advantage, it is unnecessary. The White House itself, in a press statement from the President's Review Board, has stated that it can accomplish its goals without bulk telephone records collection. And a direct quote is, "The information contributed to terrorist investigations by the use of Section 215 telephony metadata was not essential to preventing attacks." And the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board could not identify one single time when bulk collection under this section of the Patriot Act made a concrete difference in the outcome of a counterterrorism investigation. Similarly, in an analysis of 225 cases of people charged with terrorism, it found that these surveillance programs to the cases contributed only minimally. In addition to that, there are several important differences between the FISA intercept and other intelligence authority information that's intercepted under authority to investigate criminal matters. Most importantly, there are no probable cause requirements for these searches. There is no requirement of notice. The target of the search cannot obtain a discovery of the FISA court order application, and the target of the search cannot effectively challenge a wiretap or search conducted under FISA authority. Finally, FISA created a secret court, and this is according to an analysis of the Patriot Act published by Harvard Law School.